Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel and another tutorial. Today I am super excited to be sewing along with you the Curiosity shoulder bag by Sew and Sew Crafty. This is just, I can't tell you how much fun this bag was to make. Anyways, yeah, thank you, Sarah, for allowing me to make this tutorial. And before we get into much further, for the next 2 weeks, so until September 14th, I believe it is, 2022, I do have a discount code for this one. It is down, the link to how to get that coupon on her shop is down below in the description. So make sure if you're watching this during those dates, you take advantage of that deal. Thank you, Sarah, for giving us that discount. It is not an affiliated link. It is 100% for all of you. Before we go any further, let me show you some of the features of this bag. So as you can see, it's got this really pretty, I don't know. I just love all the curves and shape of this bag so very much. So this flap is a little bit deceiving. It is actually two sections. So there's two magnetic snaps here. Here is one. And when you flip it up, that gives you access to the main section of the bag. So I have my typical overlay, decorative zipper pocket like I do in all my bags, and two slip pockets. It's fairly roomy. And then underneath this flap, you have a secure slip pocket. Almost looks like it has a face. And on the back, another slip pocket. Like, I don't know. I was so drawn to this bag just from the amazing shapes and how it draws your eye right to this. I totally loved making this bag. Okay, it is a birth bag. It is not a difficult bag at all. I think anybody could do it. You just take it slow if you're a beginner. Materials I use in this bag, all of my vinyls are from Galaxy Customs. This gray and this white, I don't know if you can really see it, but they are it's a shimmer vinyl. It's her shimmer vinyls, and there's just little teeny tiny bits of glitter in there. You can't really see it on camera, but it is there. And then this accent piece, that is Galaxy Customs black dice glitter vinyl. Just loved it. It gave that perfect pop for this bag. All of my hardware is from Emmaline bags. My zipper and zipper pulls are from Blue Calla. Interfacing in this bag. So it is foam interfacing. I used the the Pretty in Pink Sew Foam from Galaxy Customs. It is equivalent to, say, like a Soft and Stable or a Pellon Flex Foam. Any foam is fine. All of my cotton pieces are interfaced with EB Fuse Light from Emmaline bags. That is similar to an SF101 or a medium woven interfacing. I did add in a piece of Decaville Heavy in the bottom for a little bit more structure or a little bit more stability on the bottom of this. What else? And I think that's really all that went into this bag. It goes together pretty quickly for something that looks like it is a lot more complex. We birth this through the bottom and sew up the bottom through the zipper pocket, my typical birthing closing method. Again, thank you, Sarah, for allowing me to do this. This is my first tutorial for Sew and Sew Crafty. All of that information to where they get pattern is down below in the description. And again, make sure you check out that discount code if you are buying this between today, September, I don't remember what the date is. Let me look. Okay, so actually the discount code is good until September 19th. So it's 2 weeks as of yesterday. So September 19th, and I believe it's 20% off. So make sure you take advantage of that. Thank you, Sarah, for your generosity. And I just can't wait to jump into it. Let's get to making this bag. I'll see you guys on the other side. You are going to need your number 5 zipper tape, number 5 zipper pull, 2 strap ends, slider, 2 rectangular rings, 2 magnetic snaps, purse feet, and I didn't show here rivets as well. You're going to need your back flap piece, your exterior piece backed with fusible fleece, and your lining piece. These are mirrored to one another. Your slip pocket panel and your 2 zipper pocket lining pieces. Your front, back, and back slip pocket pieces, exteriors and linings. Your front and back panels, exteriors and linings. Your gusset piece with your deckable heavy on the bottom and your lining piece. Your front flap, again, backed with fusible fleece, lining and exterior mirrored to one another. And I'm doing 2-tone double straps. So these are my crossbody strap things and my crossbody strap connectors. And you will need some foam as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do my straps off camera. If you need a class on how to do dual colored crossbody strap, that is down below in the description. Okay, so we are going to mark our purse feet marks here. So I'm just using my pattern piece nice and centered and using the little dots that I've punched out that are marked on the pattern piece for my purse feet placement. Go ahead and install your purse feet. Okay, so now we are going to take our exterior pieces, the gussets and the main body pieces, and we are going to back them with foam. To prepare our connectors, I have here are my connector pieces with a line drawn down by the middle. I'm going to use some double-sided tape to pull the long sides down to that center line. And I'm going to do that with both. We're going to go ahead and we are going to top stitch down these with a 3/8 of an inch top stitch. So not a 1/8, a 3/8 of an inch top stitch. I'm going to go ahead and chain stitch these like so, just to save on some thread. And do the same down the opposite side. So that's what this looks like. Now I'm just going to take a little bit of double-sided tape outside of where our stitching lines will be and place it about a 1/2 inch or so above one of the bottom short ends. I'm going to take my rectangular ring and fold about half and half together like so. And I'm going to measure down 1 inch from that folded line where my connector is and make a mark. That's going to give me my stitch guiding. Now what we want to do is on the back side of these connectors, put another little piece of tape to help hold these in place. Again, they won't interfere with our stitching. I've cut a slit in my connector placement pattern piece, and I'm just going to mark that 1 inch line like so, using the pattern piece as my guide on both sides. And where that line is where I am going to align the folded part by my rectangular ring. It's nice and centered there, and secure that with clips. And then we're going to go ahead and top stitch this in place and install rivets to hold it together. So I'm going to pull my strands long because I like to not have that back stitched mark. Coco's saying hi to everybody there. So I'm holding my threads long. I'm not back stitching, starting at the bottom of the connector, holding on to the threads, starting my stitching, letting them go. We're going to sew up to that line we drew 1 inch down from our rectangular ring, pivot across. At this point, I'm just going to reach under and tug on my bobbin thread to pull that top thread through and continue my way along. And then once I'll come towards that starting hole from that starting stitch. I'm going to make sure my needle lands in that exact same hole. Hold on to my threads so I can keep track of which one is my bobbin thread. Give my bobbin thread a little bit of a pull to pull that top thread through. And then we're going to tie off those 4 strands with 3 or 4 knots. You will do the exact same thing with the connector on the other side. Okay, so now that that's done, I went ahead and I installed 3 rivets to hold that in place even better. Now we're going to take our back panel and work on that. So we're going to take our back slip pocket panels and lining pieces. We're going to put them right sides together like so. Now, actually, to help with guide my stitching, right in this kind of, I want to say kind of tulipy shaped part here, I am just going to mark my 3/8 of an inch seam here, just so I have a little bit better of a guide when it comes to sewing around this unique shape. You can definitely just eyeball it. I just want to make sure that I get a perfect shape here. Okay, and then once again, put these right sides together and clip the top edge in place. Then we are going to stitch this right along that top edge with our 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Take your time here to get the shape of this really good, because this is such an amazing eye-catching feature of this bag that you want to have this as perfect looking as you possibly can, at least in my eyes. So you can see right here why I drew those lines. It just really does help make sure we have a nice even seam, because I can't get my seam guide into that little center part there. Okay, now I'm going to take my scissors, and right at this pointy part, I'm going to clip really close to my threads without cutting through my stitching, and then take my pinking shears and cut along this curve. And then you're going to take these and put them wrong sides together. Because I'm using vinyl, I'm going to just finger press this really good and hold it in place with clips. So make sure you're rolling these seams nice and tight between your fingers. I apologize for any street noise you may hear. We have a little bit of road construction going on just in front of my house, and my windows definitely are not soundproof, so I apologize if there's too much background noise. I don't think it's too bad though. Once you are satisfied with how you have pressed these seams, you're going to go ahead and top stitch along this top edge with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Again, taking this nice and slow, hand cranking to make sure you get the shape nice and perfect, as this is an amazing focal point of this bag on both the front and the back. It is just so beautiful. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to find our bottom center, as well as on our main back panel, find our bottom and top centers. Then we're going to center this pocket along the bottom like so, holding it nice and even and centered in place. Now you want to make sure our pockets at the top there meet and we have even distance between the two. Make adjustments as needed. Secure with clips. And we're going to baste that in place. There's a big cocoa yawn there if you heard it. Okay, so that is done. You can see we have our back slip pocket complete, so you can set that aside for now. Okay, so now we are going to work on our front panel. So you're going to use your pattern piece for your magnetic snap placement. So I've just poked a hole where my magnetic snap is going to go. And I'm going to mark it. This is on the wrong side of our slip pocket piece. I've also marked as per the pattern piece where my nameplate is going to go. Okay, so in those two spots there, you are going to go ahead and you are going to install your female side of your snaps as well as your nameplate. And look, doesn't it look like a little face? It just looks like it's looking at me all concerned here. It just makes me smile. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put some duct tape on the other side of these just to help secure them further. I put a little piece of foam in between my nameplate just because my foam or my vinyl was a little thin and my nameplate was moving around. So we're going to go ahead and do exactly like we did with the back slip pocket with our front slip pocket, as well as putting it onto our front main panel like so. So we can set those aside. Now we're going to work on our front flap. So you have your lining and your exterior mirrored to one another. Once again, we're going to use our pattern piece for our snap placement. So this will be our male side of our snap. On the back side of the lining part of our front flap, we're going to mark where this is going to go and install the male side of our magnetic snap right there. Once again, I do back my snaps with a Decavol Heavy for extra security. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, because this is fabric, I am just putting a little bit of fray check on those slits for the magnetic snap just to make sure it doesn't fray. Then you're going to take these pieces, put them right sides together. Clip them in place, leaving the top straight side open for turning. And we're going to sew all the way around here with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, leaving that top open. So once again, take your time to make sure you're following this curve to perfection. Now, when you get to the bottom point of this, it is going to come to a point with those 3/8 of an inch seam allowances. That is what we want. I know it kind of looks like we want to have a little straight edge there, but we do not. It'll come to a point with your seam allowance and then work its way up the other side. Once that is, see how it comes to a point? That's exactly what we want. Take your pinking shears, trim that seam allowance down along all the curves. And where that point is, go ahead and just clip like so, as close as you can without cutting the stitches to help bring that point better, and turn it right side out. Push out all of those seams nice and tight. Use a pointy tool for that bottom pointy part to poke that corner out. If you've done this in cottons, you can definitely take it to the iron and give it a good press. I'm just going to finger press and roll these seams between my fingers and hold it in place with clips. Then we're going to top stitch all the way around and baste the top side closed. So we're top stitching with a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and closing up the top of our flap. Okay, so now we're going to work on our back flap. We're going to repeat the exact same process, putting on our magnetic snaps and sewing it together, and this is what we have. Okay, so now what we want to do is on our front flap, we want to find the top center as well as on our front panel if you haven't done so already. We are going to put the magnetic snap in on that right hand side, match up that center. Make sure this is nice and centered, secure with clips, and we're going to baste this in place. Okay, so I noticed a little bit of a slit that was in my vinyl. I'm not sure how it got there, but hey, decorative rivets to fill in those holes as long as it is symmetrical. Now it just looks like I have a crying little happy face here. Anyways, now that I have fixed that, put your back flap on like so. You can see how they kind of all line up perfectly in a nice shape. That is what we want. Okay, so now to reduce some bulk, I'm just pulling my my foam away from the top corners of the front and back panels, as well as doing the exact same thing on the 4 top corners of our gusset. This is just going to make it so we don't have a whole bunch of bulk at those 4 top seams when we go to top stitch this, and trust me, it helps so much. So go ahead and do that on all of those top corners. Okay, so now we're going to take our gusset piece and we're going to take it right sides together with our front piece that has that one flap attached. Match up the center, bottom, secure with a few clips, bring up the sides and match it to the top, making sure that you are not catching that flap in here. You may have to kind of fold it out of the way. We want to make sure when we sew this on, we do not want to be sewing through that flap piece. Secure it with a couple clips, bring up the other side in the exact same manner. Then once you have those main spots clipped, you can go ahead and distribute the fabric evenly in between those clipped spots. Now when you get to the corners, if you notice that it's not quite wanting to go around, you can do a few small clips just within the seam allowances into the gusset piece, not the main piece, and that'll help spread that fabric around that curve a little bit better so it fits. Same with the other side. Just a few snips to help this around the curve. We're going to go ahead and sew around here with a 3/8 finished seam allowance, once again making sure we are not catching that flap in our stitching. So this is what that looks like. Just double checking I didn't catch my flap and that everything looks nice and rounded with no puckers, what have you. Now we're going to go ahead and trim up the corners with the pinking shears, just to help us have rounded seams. Go ahead and put on the back piece in the exact same manner, and this is what we end up having. Go ahead and turn out to admire your work so far. Glitter vinyl, oh, I love you and I hate you all at the same time. It sure makes things hard to turn out with its stickiness, but man, oh man, is it pretty and so worth the extra effort. Making sure all my seams are pushed out nice and tight. Looking good. Okay, so now we want to put on that back flap. So you're going to put it right sides together, centered with the back main panel, so the back of the bag. Nice and centered. Go ahead and stitch it with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance or baste it in place. I'm just going to do that from the inside foam side. It's just a lot easier to get my flatbed machine under there, like so. And that is the exterior of the bag complete. Now you can see when we go to close this flap, make sure that we have nice line here. It lined up perfectly. Lovely. If you need to readjust, you can definitely undo that base and do so, but mine turned out perfect. Okay, so I went ahead and I did my lining slip pockets and my zipper pocket as per my usual. If you need a class on how to do that, it's down below in the description. Just make sure you leave the bottom of your zipper pocket open. Okay, so now we're going to install the gusset exactly like we did with our exterior to our side with the slip pockets on it. The only thing we are going to do different is I'm going to leave an opening in the bottom of the bag from about here to here for turning the bag. With this being glitter vinyl, we definitely do want to do this to save our arms. I close all of my birth bags the exact same way. So I'm going to do that, leave that opening in the bottom like so, and then the other side is sewn all the way around, exactly like our exterior. Now what we're going to do is we have our lining wrong side out, our exterior right side out, and we are going to stuff our exterior into our lining right sides together, making sure you have everything orientated the way you want it to be. Like I like my zipper pocket to be at the back of the bag, so I'm making sure the back of the lining and the back of the exterior are what are right sides together. I'm going to match up my main front and back centers first. Do the same with the back, making sure our flaps are down and out of the way. Then I'm going to match up these side seams, and I'm going to butterfly them out or open up the seams and match them up and clip them in place. And it's at these side seams where we clipped away the foam, and that is just to avoid the thickness here so our vinyl or what have you doesn't get eaten up, or if you're on a domestic machine, it definitely reduces the bulk there for easy sewing and top stitching. Once you have everything all sewn together or all clipped together, evenly distribute that fabric. And I'm going to lay this down on my flatbed like so, and sew along here all the way around if I was on my flatbed, but I'm going to my cylinder arm, so I'm going to do it the opposite way. This way also works on a free arm, but once again, if I was doing it on my flatbed, I would be sewing from the inside of the bag right now. So I'm going to sew all the way around with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Make sure everything was caught, and then go ahead and turn it right side out through the opening in the bottom of the lining. I found that it helped to try to bring through the bottom and then the flaps. Once you brought through the flaps, it pulled out nice and easy. Go around, make sure everything was caught, push out all of your seams on the exterior. Once you're sure everything was caught around that seam, go ahead and push the lining inside the bag. And then I'm going to go ahead, make sure that the snap still fits, and it does. Now we want to make sure our flaps are up and out of the way so we don't accidentally top stitch through them. I'm going to finger roll the best I can, or finger press the best I can, rolling those seams in between my fingers and securing them with clips to prepare for top stitching. Once again, making sure the flaps are up and out of the way, as we will not be top stitching through the flaps. We're going to go ahead and top stitch all the way around. And as you see, for probably 90% of my sewing, I use my 1541 flatbed, but I definitely treated myself to make my top stitching much easier with my 1341 cylinder arm. It wasn't necessarily a need, it was a want, but man oh man, does it ever make my life easier. So that's the top stitching done. Make sure our flaps still line up, and they do. Gorgeous. Now all that's left to do is closing up the turning hole in the bottom of the bag and the zipper pocket. So reach in through the opening in your zipper pocket, grab the opening in the lining, and we are going to sew this opening shut with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Once that is done, stuff the lining back inside the bag like so. Make sure everything was caught. When you're satisfied with that, go ahead and fold in the raw edges of the zipper pocket lining and top stitch that shut. Stuff that zipper pocket back in. All that's left is to install your crossbody strap. Admire your work, double check everything looks amazing. I still see a face there. This is the cutest bag ever as it looks at you so concerned. And then we're done. That's it. That's all. What did you think of that? It is really, truly an amazing and great sew. I will definitely be making more of these. Again, I just love the curves and the shape and everything and the size. It's absolutely perfect. It's the perfect medium to large shoulder bag. Anyways, if you like this tutorial, please do give me a thumbs up. It helps me out so much. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. If you'd like to support my channel further, you can definitely do so by buying me a coffee down below in the description. And if you're interested in taking any of my online sew-along classes, that link is down below as well on how you can join in on those. Anyways, until the next one, I'll see you guys later. Bye!